Hey, Travels with Dottie here, and I wanted to give a little bit more comprehensive look at my home base here. You can see there's my truck. There's a concrete pad that my rig sits on, and back here, that's a 100-gallon propane tank. And back here is my little man cave, casita, tiny house, whatever you want to call it. And attached to it here is this is a storage area and little workshop. It's pretty full of stuff, but there's I need to organize a little bit better. But I've got 6 spare propane tanks, so you know, I've got, you know, if we have an extended power outage, guess what? I've got lots of fuel. That generator there takes propane, so I've got a lot of power for a long time. And there's the light switch here. There's a lighting in here, so I can, when I organize this a little bit better, I can get in and use that workbench. There's outlets in there and everything. And there's a familiar face. There's Dottie. We have I can let her hang out in here as much as she wants. When the weather's good, like today, look, it's 78 degrees and it's 10 in the morning. It's my decorations. There's Snoopy. And just a pumpkin. And then in here, you guys have seen this before, but I feel like I need to do a complete tour here. There's George. There's my little workstation with a little Mac Mini and my studio monitor, big screen TV, a really great couch with recliners on either side, little table that doubles in size, and this is my latest acquisition for mobile computing. So when you're a YouTuber, you get good at doing stuff one-handed. But this is my beautiful brand new MacBook Pro. Isn't that gorgeous? And it keeps perfectly in sync with my Mac Mini. So, you know, I've got that for when I'm here, and this for on the road in a coffee shop or on trips. It's really wonderful. And check this out. There's a library here, a mobile library that comes by, and I checked this out, step-by-step Instant Pot cookbook. What was so intriguing about it, it not only gives you a picture of the final dish, but it gives you beautiful pictures of every step along the way. So there's all kinds of great recipes in here. I can't wait to try a few of them. I'm going to probably do that this weekend. And there's Dottie has her little bed outside that she loves. Well, just before we cut to this, you might have noticed as I'm going through the door, a sound. Well, what happened was that I went through the door and I sat out here and I talked for about 25 minutes about a bunch of stuff. And then when I went to put the camera up and down, upload and everything, this microphone here, I couldn't find it. And I've already lost one of these. I have 2. I lost one. It costs $100 to replace it. I lost one in Eagle Nest and spent hours trying to find it. I realized I lost it in a particular parking lot, and I searched it and checked with the store and finally had to replace it. So here was a little bit different. I couldn't find it, and I checked the camera, and the camera has a little green light. I'm looking at it right now on the monitor screen, and it bounces around as I'm talking. So I turned the camera back on, and it's there. So it's receiving the transmission, but I can't find this thing anywhere. My friends, especially Deborah Dickinson, can tell you that I'm a good guy to have around in a dire emergency, like if someone has a heart attack or, some emergency thing happens. I got a pretty cool head. But with stuff like this, little tiny things like losing stuff, I totally lose it. I mean, I don't yell and scream or anything, but I get very stressed over it. And especially a circumstance where I knew that it was here because it Bluetooth doesn't transmit that far. So this thing was here. I just couldn't find it. And I'm looking in this seat. I'm looking in my clothes. I took everything out of all my pockets. I took off my pants in case it had somehow fallen into my pants. I checked my shoes. I checked every square inch of this area underneath the pad on the chair, underneath the chair. I did walk, you notice I walked around the rig and everything, so I retraced my steps probably 5 times. Now, the whole time, I'm walking around holding the camera, talking, saying hello, hello, because I knew when I got close to it, the bar would hop more. I knew it would tell me when I was close. Like when I would go out with the camera to the driveway out here and I'd talk, it wouldn't move at all. But when I was right here, it would move a little bit. And then I went inside, it would move a little bit. Guys, it took me an hour and a half of searching before I finally said, I don't know where else to look. I'm out of options. And I do have a spare. I have 2, and I'll use that until somehow, some way, I stumble across this thing. The only thing I could think of is what it dropped off me as I was walking, and I kicked it, and it ended up, long distance kicked into the cactus or something over there in someplace close. Yet, I mean, there's a bunch of cactus there that if it went into it, I'd be right on top of it. I'd never find it. It was when I gave up. I told Deborah this story and she could not stop laughing. So this thing, here's what I'm talking about, guys. It's a little thing. It's got a clip on it, but also it has a magnet. This little square thing is a very strong magnet. I gotta show you this. I think if I do this right, the camera will follow me. Come on, double tap on me. Okay. All right. Here's my door. I don't know if you could see that. The door's metal. So it was on here and it was stuck to the door. And I just happened to see it. I just dropped it. So that's going to do great things for the sound. I bet you heard that, huh? But anyway, it was on the side. And it was very well hidden. But I got it. Hour and 15 minutes. Meanwhile, I do have neighbors. I'm walking around the property holding my phone going, hello, 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 watching that green bar. They probably think I'm out of my mind. All right. So I'm going to try to retrace my steps because the video's there for the whole 25 minutes, or it's about 25 minutes I did sitting here. But there's no audio. It's just me going. That's it. So I'm going to try to retrace my steps because it's a little bit of a blessing because let me shorten part of it. I was talking again about negative comments and haters and stuff. And I really think that was about, and I mentioned towards the end of it, I said, I'm talking about this again because I'm trying to go through a process to desensitize myself to it because it is such a small fraction of people that are watching and listening that say obnoxious things. And, the blessing is I think I went a little bit too long with it. And I think it would have there would have been a lot of enough with that, Rob. Okay, let's move on. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to move on. We're not going to talk about it anymore. So then I said, I was going to talk about the big trip I have coming up. And then I realized, I so often I do these sitting where I talk to the camera and I talk to you guys, I love doing that. And I look at my stats on YouTube and I realize 40% of people watching these videos, it's their first timers. They don't know anything about me. So when I start in the middle of a story as if you've been watching videos, it's not fair to 40% of the people. So you backtrack a little bit. What you saw a tour of is my home base. I'm a full-time Nomad RVer, so you can see it. This is my home base, which I quote I own this plot for life. It's a little legally, it's a little complicated, but for all intents and purposes, I own it, and I paid like an annual fee of about $1,400. And I pay for electricity. I just paid an electric bill for my, I came back here from Eagle Nest in the middle of the month, so half a month was about $35 during 2 solid weeks of 90 to 100 degrees, so AC in the rig and AC in the little house. That's $70 a month when it's really, really hot. So super hot, like if it was July or something and it was 100, 110 every day, I'd say maybe at the most it would be $100 in a month. So I can imagine like November will probably be like $30. So anyway, that's all I have to pay. So, pardon me. It tastes good. So I'm here about 6 months out of the year. 3 months in the spring, 3 months in the fall, 3 months up in the mountains in Eagle Nest in northern New Mexico, almost to Colorado. And then 3 months in Quartzsite, Arizona, where all my Nomad friends gather every winter. So that's kind of my life. And the trip that I rarely, those are the trips I take, those 3 places. But I think for the first time since I've been retired, and we're talking 4 years, I'm going to be getting on a plane and going someplace, and I'm pretty excited about it because I'm going to New York City. Yep, New York City, which may be a little surprise to some of you. Like, this is a guy that enjoys New Mexico and Arizona and the desert and the mountains and small towns, and he thrives in those environments. He wants to go to New York City. Well, some of us have varied interests. And I love New York City. And I'm going to talk about it because I make a habit of talking about things that I'm passionate about on my channel, and I'm passionate about New York City. And I want to give you some context as to why. My first visit was in the late 1960s. With my dad. My dad took me to New York City to visit my older brother, who was 13 years older than me. So he had just graduated from college, so he had to have been 22, so I was probably 9 years old. So it was 68 or 69. And we were going to visit my brother, who got his first job there out of school. He was a civil engineer. And we visited him at his job site in Manhattan. And I wonder, Ken, this is you. Can you guess what famous building job site my brother was working on? I'll give you 5 seconds to guess, Ken. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I bet you he gets it right. It was, yes, Ken, it was the World Trade Center. And I have 2 vivid memories of that visit. Very short, but very vivid. The first one was going to the job site, and the job site at the time was a 10-story deep hole in the ground. And I remember looking down in that hole, and at the bottom of this huge hole, I saw yellow trucks driving around that to me looked like matchbox trucks. They looked so small. And the second memory was where my brother lived. He lived in a loft in the Greenwich Village. And you go, wow, he must have got a good job, huh? Because those are millions of dollars, those lofts. Well, not back in the 1960s, they weren't. In the 1960s, these loft spaces that people lived in, probably not legally, were pretty much abandoned or unused warehouse spaces in the city. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, he wasn't squatting there, but I bet he was renting it, and it was probably not legal to, quote, live there. That's what I'm going to guess, but I don't know. Anyway, I know it was like very rough. So the second memory is being inside his loft, and he had done sort of this makeshift shower thing that he built with like this piece of sort of see-through plexiglass, and I remember sitting there while he was taking a shower in the makeshift place. That's the other vivid memory. So in the ensuing years, I had visited a few times as a teenager. And every time I went, I was always fascinated by the size of the buildings and the activity. And it was a book that my stepsister had given me was called Serpico, and there was a movie. The book was by Peter Maas, and Serpico was a real-life New York City cop. He was for a while an undercover cop, and he ended up fighting corruption in the NYPD, and it was a huge news story back then. And it was ended up being a movie that I think Al Pacino played Serpico. But this is long before the movie, and I got this book, and I was fascinated by this guy's story, because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop. That's all I wanted to do was be a cop, and that Serpico, either LAPD or NYPD, neither happened, but but I was fascinated by that, and especially my visits to New York, because I knew that's where Serpico had been, was really fascinated me. Plus the activity and the craning your neck to see the skyscrapers everywhere. It was just, I couldn't think of a more exciting place. Fast forward to the 1990s, and in my business career, I was an finance executive with Neiman Marcus stores headquartered in Dallas, Texas. And it was actually part of what we called Neiman Marcus Group was the name of the corporation. And in that group was the Neiman Marcus stores, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but also Bergdorf Goodman in New York City. And as part of my job for a couple of years, I was required to travel to New York City to visit Bergdorf Goodman for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days in a week, every month. So on the company's dime, I was traveling to New York City, which is the best way to go to New York City, and with someone else paying, trust me. And I would stay in a beautiful little hotel called the Essex House on Central Park South, overlooking Central Park, and I love that little hotel. However, there was a time where they moved me to a different hotel that was more like off 57th or something. I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't on Central Park. But here's what I do remember that fascinated me. Mostly in retrospect, I would get up and I would walk from the hotel to Bergdorf Goodman, which was close to Central Park. It was on Fifth Avenue, right near Central Park South. And the office I would go to actually was a half a block away from there, not in the main building, but I'd spent time in the main building. I would buy, on the way, I would get a New York bagel and a coffee, and I'd walk to work. And on the way, I would pass Rockefeller Center, where the Today Show was. Every morning they were doing the Today Show. When I first started coming by, I noticed, hey, there's a big window. You can stand there and you can look in the studio as you're doing it, which was pretty interesting. And then one day I was standing out there, and out comes Bryant Gumbel with a microphone and somebody else. It could have been Al Roker. It might have been Al Roker. And they came out and they were doing the show outside. And I looked up and I noticed there were TV monitors out there, and they were on the show, and they were showing them out there with us, the crowd, watching. And the crowd was me and 4 other people. There were 5 of us that first day. And I remember that there was not B-roll, but shots of the crowd that they were putting in there that I could see on the monitor, and many times it was me. I was like, God, I wonder if anyone recognizes me. So I made a habit of going by there every morning and watching. I'd leave extra early so I could stay there and hang out and watch part of the show. And like I said, Bryant Gumbel was the main guy, so that gives you an idea of what year it was. I don't remember off the top of my head. Mid-90s, I think. And I think Matt Lauer was around, but I think he just did the news in the studio. And I don't think Katie Couric was there at all. I don't. All I remember is Bryant Gumbel, because I knew who that was. And so I did that every morning, and the crowds progressively as time went on, got bigger and bigger. And today, you can't even get in there. It's just a mass of people every day. It's a big deal. As you know, and they have concerts and all kinds of things, but not back then. So that kind of experience really endeared me to New York, and I especially loved being in New York in Christmas time. And I went and saw the Rockettes and the Christmas show, and it just in the Rockefeller Center giant Christmas tree. It's magical. It's Macy's, going to the Macy's, and it was just it was a pretty wonderful time in New York that I had, and I want to tell you a story. There's an actress that I ran into, and I'm trying to think of her name, and I'm having an over 60 moment here. Well, if I think of it, I'll tell you the story later. It'll probably pop into my head before the end of this video. But that's why I'm so passionate about New York. And I'm going to get to a week from Thursday. I'm flying from here, Roswell, which is about an hour from here or less. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't been to that airport yet. I'm going to leave extra time, trust me. I'm going to fly on American Airlines commuter line from Roswell to Dallas-Fort Worth to LaGuardia. And I'm going to be in New York City Thursday night and Friday night with my family. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and we're all meeting there. And to support my brother's daughter, her name is Ptolemy, and she is a very gifted artist. She lives in London, and her artistry is very unique. At first glance, when you look at her art, it looks like paintings, but it's not. They're very intricate, detailed weavings. She's a top-notch, world-famous weaver, and she uses these brightly colored, very fine threads in her pieces of art. And a very well-known gallery in New York City is featuring her, and there's an opening Thursday night, which we're all invited to, and we're there for that opening and this grand dinner afterwards. And we're staying at a hotel in near the Flatiron District, a hotel I think was built in 1928. It's expensive. It's $500 a night, and I'm sharing with one of my brothers, so it's more like $250 a night. Thank goodness. And I got to use old frequent flyer miles for the ticket, so the ticket cost me like $11. I just had to pay the taxes. So it's a frugal trip I'm taking, and so I'm very excited and am I going to take video? You bet your sweet bippy I'm going to be taking videos. All right, Ken, where's that from? You bet your sweet bippy. What TV show from the 1960s is that from? So I'll start the video driving to the Roswell Airport. I'm going to show you the Roswell Airport and the commuter plane in Dallas-Fort Worth and the plane into LaGuardia, and I'm going to take the subway into Manhattan and as close as I can get to the hotel and walk to the hotel, and I'm going to show the hotel, and I'm going to show you my brothers and sisters, and I'm going to show you the art gallery and my niece and her works of art. And then Friday, I'm hoping I'll get a chance to go by Ground Zero, and I'm going to show you Ground Zero, the memorial. And that's sort of a full circle thing for me. My first time when it was a hole in the ground, and it is again. It is again. It's an amazing thing. And then I have to leave here Thursday morning at 4 a.m. and then I estimate I'll drive back in here and go to bed at midnight on Saturday. So it's going to be a marathon. Thursday, Friday, Saturday marathon. But I'm going to be shooting a lot of video. I'm going to take my new laptop with me so I can upload as I go. So I'll be probably same day or next day on my videos there. So I'm pretty excited about that. What else? I told you about. I gave you a more robust tour of the area, where I'm living here. And I told you about what's going on in New York. I'll be Quartzsite. I'll be heading there this time for the first time instead of boondocking in the desert, which I do love, but I want to have a little bit different perspective this year. I'm going to be in an RV park in town. This little town of 2,500 people, Quartzsite, Arizona, has over 50 RV parks. Over 50 separate RV parks. I wouldn't believe it myself if I hadn't gotten a hold of the list, and I counted on the list, it was like 52 RV parks. So I'll be in one of those 52 RV parks. And I don't keep that a secret because it's a small town and I have a recognizable truck and trailer. People will figure out where I'm staying really, really quickly anyway. So hopefully I won't get too many unintentional visitors. How's that for a phrase? Unintentional visitors. Meaning they don't intend to disturb my privacy. They just want to meet me. But I tell you, if you want to meet me in Quartzsite, I'm going to have probably more than one where I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to be at the dog park. There's a pavilion at the dog park. I'm going to be at the dog park with Dottie this particular time. Meet me. I'll do that several times. And I'm easy to spot in town. I'll be probably a lot either in my truck or my e-bike. So I'm not hard to spot. So please, if you see me in Quartzsite, walk up, introduce yourself. I'd love to meet every single one of you. I really would. I think, is there anything else on my mind? And it's great that I'm seeing the green thing bounce because I have the I have the microphone, and I didn't before. So let me see. Have I succeeded in doing? Yeah, I did my 25 minutes. So it was tough to do. They have to do everything over again, but I think I covered everything I covered before where there was no audio. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.